Now you got me. I can't even put the microphone on. Wow. You think that now I can't hear you? Well, wait, hold on. There you go.
I'm unmuted now. You got
Rocky
me.
start. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
My
It was the
Oof,
house fan that messed us up.
Yeah. Well, you know what it was, that when I started the stream, it said something about ending this. Like I started it and it said you couldn't start it or something. So that's what I was playing around with. That's why the opening was longer than it was, because it was saying that I wasn't even on. So got to fix that. Or anyway.
Inside baseball this morning, right?
Oh, yeah, right. So good morning, New Jersey. This is a special edition of Good Morning, New Jersey. You have Odon and the G-Man here in the Weather Center. We're going to talk to you about Hurricane Milton. I know there's a lot of friends in this tri-state area that have family, friends, homes, the
interests
in Florida. I mean, it's not a Mr. G used to call the area of Florida the sixth borough, because there's so many people from New York City that are down there.
Snowbirds.
Same thing here in New Jersey too. Yeah, a lot of kids in school and stuff like that down in Florida. So we're gonna run down. G-Man's gonna give you the detailed forecast, what's going on and what's going to happen, where it's headed. So we got all the maps loaded up, and we're going to try our best to get through some of this, just to see where this thing is going, because this thing is a monster storm. I mean, earlier in the week, I guess it was Monday, was the pressure was like 890 something. I mean, I don't remember the last time I've heard of that before.
Yeah, under 900 millibars. Hurricane hunters found that.
That's insane.
It's insane. And dude, don't forget, it went from a Category 1 to a Cat 5 in one day. So to do that, we talk about, remember we in the wintertime, we talk about snowstorms, bombing out, bombogenesis, right? Loses 1 millibar of pressure an hour for 24 hours.
Right.
Here we go. This thing lost like 5 millibars an hour, 10 millibars an hour, something crazy, so I'm just trying to quickly do the math in my head.
No. Can't imagine.
So the pressure drop was just insane over the course of one day.
Wow.
So this thing's a beast. So essentially Milton went from a tropical storm to a Category 5 hurricane in 2 days.
Wow, that's unheard of. I'm sure it's probably happened before in the history of the world, or whatever you want to call it, but nothing that I can remember in our lifetime, really.
Right, right. So there are some that are calling Milton Florida's Katrina, and the verbiage and the wording coming out of the Hurricane Center is just it's bad. It's really bad.
Yeah. Alarming is what it is.
Alarming for sure.
All right, so let's just get right into it. We'll hold off your comments here for a few minutes. We got a nice crowd here. So let me switch over to, let me start where it is now. Well, you just tell me what maps and stuff you want up.
Yeah, I mean, you can leave up tidbits there for a second.
Okay.
Thanks to Levi for the maps.
Yep.
Obviously you have this monster brewing in the Gulf. A couple interesting things, with it. Currently it's about 300 miles southwest of Tampa. It's moving to the west at 14. So you do the math, 10 hours from now, you're still 140 miles offshore. So landfall 10 hours from now would be 4:30 this afternoon. So, fast forward a few more hours, it's going to take, I think from now, it's really probably more of a 18 to 24 hour out landfall. So that would put it early Thursday morning, making landfall on the west coast of Florida, around that Tampa area. Hurricane Center does not like us to focus on the forecast cone per se. They also, want the verbiage to be, hey, obviously the impacts are going to be, far reaching.
Right.
So whether it makes the official landfall in Tampa or St. Pete or Sarasota, that whole area is really going to be pretty devastated, unfortunately.
So this is 8 this morning.
This is 8 this morning. You want to go out a little bit further?
Sure. We'll go.
So
what happened here?
Right.
I moved all the way to
I think you went 36 hours out.
Hold on a second. Wait. Let me go back. Let's just
right. But you can stay there for right. So you want to just take the scroll bar if you want, and you can just
there. Okay.
So that little scroll bar on top of the map.
So that's 2:00 today. Is that right? Yeah. That's 2 p.m. today.
Right, 18Z. That's 2:00. So you can see the center of it. And keep in mind, for a hurricane to make landfall, the eye wall needs to touch the land. So
Right.
the outer bands will be lashing Florida all late morning, afternoon. It still hasn't made landfall. Landfall is officially when, that
This.
outer eye wall, the center of the storm,
Mhm.
comes ashore, or
Well,
or
this
at
is
least touches the
yeah.
shore.
Well, this is amazing too because, places like the Space Coast, Orlando, I mean, they're getting
Mhm.
into some heavy showers, possibly some thunderstorms, and this thing hasn't even come
Right,
ashore yet. So
right.
that's how it just shows how wide this swath of precipitation is in here.
Yep. Sorry, just grabbing a little
Yeah,
coffee here for a second.
sure.
Not only that, but don't forget forward right quadrant tornadoes. So when
Right.
this thing comes roaring
Mhm.
ashore, you're going to see tornado watches and warnings pop in Florida probably today.
Mhm.
So
Alright.
what's also an anomaly with this storm, this thing is not coming in, from the south, if you will. This thing is not coming in parallel. It's coming in on a perpendicular axis
Mm.
into
Right,
the coast.
right.
So, yeah, there's just a lot of impacts here. There's a lot
Yeah.
of moving parts.
So that's 2 p.m. So we get closer here to 8 o'clock, as you said, sometime tonight,
Mhm.
early tomorrow morning. That's but you still see.
The eye is still over the Gulf.
Which was a way I could zoom in a little closer, but I can't because then I'm
Mhm.
everything else. But you're right. You're still 4 or 5 hours out. So,
Oh, at least.
well, I
So
mean, look at all this though. This is
it's just torrential flooding rains
yeah,
across I-4 there from Tampa to Orlando to
right,
Daytona.
right.
Um, Obviously the West Coast is worse, but we'll get to that in a second after landfall. Let's
Sure.
do pre-landfall, landfall,
Mhm.
and then
Got it.
post-landfall.
All right. So that's 8 p.m. Here's
Mhm.
2 a.m.
2 a.m. Look at that. So the center is, and that's what I called it. I've been in the weather center at NBC 10 in Philly here for the last 4 days.
Yeah.
So we have certainly been covering this thing very thoroughly. And one of the things we've been discussing is timing, obviously. And timing is I'm thinking 1, 2 a.m. and boom, that's it right there.
That's a quick.
Unfortunately, it occurs at night. Anyone who's riding out this storm in the area, uh, it's not ideal, especially with floodwaters,
Mhm.
to have this happen at night. And you're coming up to the high tide,
Oh, that's
so
not
the
good
tide's
either.
going to be
Yeah.
high.
Yeah. That's not good either.
It's not good either.
So this looks like it's somewhere between Tampa and Fort Myers, I think,
Hmm.
somewhere in that
Hmm.
that that stretch. Um, let's go. That's 2 a.m. This is 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. But
Right.
then
8 a.m. tomorrow morning, you still have a category 2 hurricane in the center of the state in Florida
that's
over
insane.
Orlando.
Look at the isobars here, how
Yeah.
tight
I
those
mean,
are.
look
Oof.
how tight those. So, and again, another thing I mentioned, this is Florida. It's not Hispaniola. It's not mountainous. So you don't have topography to really weaken
Great
this thing.
points. Yeah.
So
Yes.
it's flat. If you've ever driven on I-4, it's flat. There are
Mhm.
cattle on I-4, as
Yeah.
you get west of Orlando towards Tampa.
Sure. Sure.
So, you know, it's bad. It's just a heartbreaking situation for Florida
Yeah.
coming on the heels of Helene.
Yeah, I thought I had heard that Disney was the look that they were staying open for a while, but I think they've actually shut today. But I don't know. We can go into that, but that's some of the things that I've been hearing. But look, this is 8 a.m. tomorrow morning,
Hmm.
and within what are we talking? 6 hours, seven
Yep.
hours. It's only made it hasn't even gotten across Florida at this point.
It is
So
going to
that's
accelerate once it moves into the Atlantic.
yeah,
So
but still
go next frame
that's still like
and
5 6 hours of just constant.
hammering through the state
Yeah.
of Florida,
Wow, look at that.
and exits Florida still as a Category 1 hurricane.
That's crazy. So
So,
now the east coast of Florida, like I said, Daytona, the Space
mhm,
Coast, all up and down here,
Flagler, all that.
Flagler Beach, sure, I've been there. Now with the winds going that's going to start pushing this water back this
Yep.
way, right?
Jacksonville, South Jacks
Yeah.
Beach, all of that. Yep.
Those are, yeah, and then you're right here, like Tybee Island and stuff like
Mhm.
that. Southern
Southern
Georgia,
Georgia.
Savannah could be underwater in 2 seconds. They're really
Yep.
low lying.
Really low
Um,
lying, Ponte Vedra,
yeah.
all those North
Mhm.
Florida, areas.
Because it's all these sections here that obviously the bigger ticket items, the Tampas and the Orlandos and whatever, get the high mileage, but it's the places along this Georgia coast here that could be in pretty bad shape too, but nobody really talks about it because obviously, it's not Orlando. But so now this is 8 o'clock tomorrow.
Right. And thankfully, if there's anything good with this hurricane, is that Milton, once Milton makes it into the Atlantic,
Mhm.
seems to track almost on an easterly fashion. If you take it out into a couple more frames, moves into the open ocean, and then just slowly dissipates and, becomes a storm, what's left of it for the fish, and,
Mhm.
causes no further damage.
Right.
But yeah, this is bad. This is it's unprecedented. One of our colleagues in South Florida, John Morales, was literally in tears talking
Mm.
about this.
Wow. Wow. And I
And
haven't.
he's been in Miami for as long
Yeah.
as I've known him.
Yeah.
30
Sure.
years or whatever it's been.
Mhm.
It's just a fixture, in that South Florida weather community, and he was literally reduced to tears over it.
Wow. Wow. Well, both our good friend Elise, who worked with us at the old shop,
Hmm.
and I work with the New York one. I've known her for years, same with you. And she's in Tampa, just outside of it. I mean, she does the traffic in the morning, and she also anchors the 4 a.m. show, 4:30, I think, on Fox,
Right.
Tampa Bay. Good morning, Tampa Bay. And she, I think, just left on maternity leave, so she's about ready to have a baby anytime soon. So I need to reach out, see. I'm sure they're probably. I would hope that they're not riding this out. This is tough stuff. So
Yeah, I have a friend, high school friend in Pasco County,
Mhm.
and I was trying to convince her to, like, look, I know you're, not right up against the shore, and you're not in, mandatory hurricane evac zone, but
Yeah,
this is bad. I was like, just go,
yeah, yeah.
go,
Well, okay, so it's still doing it's still pumping out the model run, the latest one, but there was something I wanted to show you again. I was just
so
looking at this last
before we
week.
get to
Yeah.
that, I believe it was the Tampa mayor that said,
Hmm.
if you're in a mandatory evacuation zone
Hmm.
and you don't evacuate,
Hmm.
you're going to die.
Wow.
This is the wording that's
Yeah.
flying around. This
Yeah.
is how serious this is,
Right. Right. Wow.
because there's still the sentiment of a lot of old school kind of dug in, folks,
Of
perhaps,
course.
whether it be in
Sure. Yeah.
Florida or
Everyone.
wherever else.
Everybody thinks they're are able to ride these kind of things out, but if you, I mean, anybody just looking at what we just showed over the last 5 minutes
Right.
and took anything of what you just said seriously, they will be out, because that wind, like you said, consistent torrential rain that's flat across all of
Hmm.
Florida is flat.
Yeah.
Nothing going to tear this storm apart.
Nope.
There is still debris from Helene that
Yep.
came through.
So, on that note, I had
Yeah,
another colleague that was just down in St. Pete, and she's like, "Yeah, all of that debris is still on the road. So the landfills in the area are open 24/7. So if anybody that wants to take their, Helene damaged items to the
sure.
landfill can do so
Hmm.
for free, and can do so
Hmm.
24 hours a day, 7
Right,
days a week. So they're desperately trying to get that stuff off the sidewalks, because that stuff will become projectiles as well."
right. This is the National Hurricane Center.
Mhm.
Thanks everyone for watching. You're watching Good Morning New Jersey, a special edition. We're covering Hurricane Milton. We'll get to our forecast a little bit later on in the show, real quick, because there really is not much to it. So we'll get to that in just a little while and into the show. Because I also want to try to find some traffic cameras down there in Tampa area just to see what it looks like at this point. So this is the 5 a.m. advisory. It says click here for details, but I'll leave it here for
It's
right
all right.
now.
Yeah,
So,
I read it already.
yeah.
It's 160-mile-an-hour winds. We're still a Category 5. Unfortunately, moving to the northeast at 14. So that's 14 miles an hour movement. If it's 300 miles offshore, so that's going to put you into late tonight, into early Thursday morning
Right.
for that landfall. And I think that 2 a.m. landfall is probably spot on. 2
Yeah.
a.m.
But I mean, at one
So
point, this thing was over. I saw like 185 sustained winds. Is that right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
That was before the eye wall replacement cycle. So today is Wednesday. That was Monday,
right.
Monday afternoon, Monday evening. Yeah, and then weakened a little bit down to a 4 as that eye wall was getting replaced, and then back up to a 5.
So my question to you is that so with these kind of storm, like literally how, I mean, is there a limit to as far as the winds are concerned? I mean, or I mean, with these kinds of storms, I mean, are we looking at 200? I mean, does it top off at a certain point and then it just can't get any stronger?
Pretty much,
Yeah.
what's what's feasible atmospherically,
Mhm.
given the conditions or whatever. But,
Right.
in this day and age, a lot of this has been fueled by climate change, by,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it. When the Gulf is warmer, there's more fuel for the fire per se.
Yeah. I mean, this is
There's
like
more energy.
bathwater. This is like bathwater in here, right? This is like
And a
88,
record.
mid 80s, upper
Hmm.
80s, almost
Yeah,
90-degree water. That's
yeah.
insane.
So, unfortunately, it's kind of like putting jet fuel,
Yeah.
in your
Right.
car or
On
whatever.
fire.
It's gonna
Yeah. Hmm.
unfortunately overperform, and that's what we're seeing.
All right. So we got this now. You wanted to just drive me where, what
So
map?
let's there's a peak surge map in there. Well, there's storm or peak surge, bottom row, second row, look right in the middle.
Okay.
So peak storm surge forecast. So I can't see that little purple tab there at the
Sure. Let
end. See
me,
what that
well, here,
says?
I can do this. I can expand it.
There we go.
Be
12
able to
foot
see it
plus.
here. Let me
So
just
yeah, so
restart bringing this up.
we've been calling, 10 to 15. There it is, Tampa Bay, 10 to 15-foot surge into Tampa Bay.
Mhm.
So spoke with over a text message, friends. One of my daughter's teammates, one of Ava's teammates, her parents are down in St. Pete. And I was like, you
Okay.
got to go, you got to evac.
Right.
And they did, thankfully. So they're hopefully out of harm's way.
Mhm.
But they said the surge that Tampa Bay had with Helene was about 7 feet.
Wow.
So if we get 10 to 15 feet in Tampa Bay, it's really, really going to be destructive.
Yeah. So explain what this is. So for people who are just watching, you don't know anything of what this is. I mean, they
So
see 10, 15 feet. I mean, 15 feet is as high as almost a two-story building. So, I mean, what are we talking
exactly,
about?
exactly. So we're talking about storm surge. It's one
Okay.
of the more difficult things in my business to communicate, and
Mhm.
and we really went through that with Sandy. There is a very lengthy, long kind of explanation that doesn't make a whole lot of
Yeah,
sense.
sure.
But basically, surge is on top of, any rising water, high tides, the typical regular movement of whatever body of water it is. So
Okay.
you're putting 10 to 15 feet of water on top of that that's been whipped up, and aided by the winds, by the storm system pushing ashore, almost like a tsunami effect of water heading towards, you know, uh, in this instance, Tampa Bay at 10 to 15
Wow.
feet.
Wow.
So, and you could see in other areas, you get down at Bonita Beach and Bonita Springs, it's 8 to 12, and the surge isn't as significant as you move further north or further to the
Mhm.
south, but it's obviously, you know, a problem, a huge
Right.
problem.
So, I mean, now this obviously, whichever way it comes in, I mean, some of this could shift north or south, probably not by much, though, right?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Um, yeah, I think the track has been pretty good. It's been pretty solid. So,
Mhm.
and the Hurricane Center is, their storm surge modeling has been very good. So, but look at the surge. You have surge, 3 to 5 feet on the other side, on the Atlantic side.
Wow. Right.
As
This is,
as
like
the
you
storm.
said, this is
Sure.
Flagler and all that, all the way up
Mhm.
into Tybee Island and
Right.
south, southeastern sections of Georgia, even up into South Carolina, still, you know,
Yeah,
maybe 1 to
as you get
3
up to the
foot.
Santee, and you get up
Yeah.
to Edisto and the Santee, and the low country of South Carolina. I mean, you only need a couple feet of surge to create problems there. That's why they call it the low country.
Right. Right.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Completely. Let me do this. So which map do you want next? I'm sorry. I'm just trying to bring up the traffic cameras through Tampa Bay because Florida's 511 is really, they do a nice job with the cameras and stuff. So, all right. So we wanted to bring up a different map, correct? What did you want next?
yeah.
Let me just wait. Let's see.
Um,
Which
let's
one?
go. So we have surge. Let's go to some of the hurricane. Oh, here, there we go. So let's go to warnings and surface wind. Top row. Nope, one
This
more,
one.
two more
This
warnings.
one.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep. So pretty self-explanatory. If we can make this a little bigger, you see, obviously the hurricane warnings that are in place. You see where the storm is. So it's really a,
Mhm.
a large portion. The red are the hurricane warnings. It really is a large portion of Florida, and on
Right.
both coasts.
Gulf Coast. That's crazy. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Wow.
So that's that's sort of unprecedented.
Mhm. Mhm. Wow. Wow. Man, that is just
So Florida is going to couple things I want to get out there. If you have any friends, relatives, people in Florida, reach out, stay in touch, make sure they have a plan. If they're in the path of this thing, hopefully they've gotten out, hopefully they've moved somewhere safe. Check in on them if they need anything, but just know that Florida is going to need a lot of help going
mhm.
forward.
Right.
So if
Right.
you're in a position to help friends, family, whatever, be there because this is bad. This is really bad.
Wow. Mm. All right, friends, you're watching Good Morning New Jersey. We'll get to the comments and stuff in a few minutes here, so I appreciate it. But please still keep commenting and let us know where you're watching from, or if you have any family or friends or anybody down in Florida, or if you're in Florida right now, let us know if you're watching us, and what the situation is here in real time. It's 6:54 Eastern Daylight Time. All right, so we have the wind map. What is the next map you would like?
Let's you know what? Let's check out rainfall potential. So or flash flooding potential. Either or, we can go through both
This is
of those.
rainfall
Mhm.
rainfall
So we
potential.
haven't talked a whole lot about that, but we're looking at what will likely be
I just have to unexpand it here just a little bit
okay.
just to get the key in.
Right, right. So we're looking at what will likely be 6 to 12 plus inches of rain as well.
Wow.
So you're
Wow.
talking about a foot of rain in
Mm,
that red shaded area, all the way from just north of Tampa Bay to Orlando to Daytona, lesser amounts north and south. But, I do think it's not going to be too long before you start to see tornado watches and
mhm,
perhaps tornado
mhm.
warnings pop here today.
Right. Wow.
So yeah, so everyone we tend to fixate and focus a little bit on the winds. Oh, it's got 150 mile, and yeah, that is crazy, and that is devastating, and that is severe. But a lot of times with these storms, it's not, believe it or not, so much the wind, but it's the water. The
Yeah.
surge. And all of that is what has been
Mhm.
frequently
So on the
given right, more problematic in the past
yeah.
than perhaps the wind.
Mhm. So on the key that says that this is potential rainfall through Friday morning at 8 a.m.
Mhm.
So, I mean, like you said here, this whole swath of
Red.
cutting straight across Central Florida is over a
Mhm.
foot,
Yep.
over almost a foot of rain. And I mean, look, just bringing it back to New Jersey and whatnot with Irene, that was my bigger experience, not so much with Ida, but even Ida with the rain. I mean, we were upwards of maybe, again, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but it's probably somewhere between 7 to 8 inches, and just the catastrophic damage it did for parts of Union County with maybe half of what they're going to get. You can only imagine what a foot a foot of rain is. I mean, a foot of water is a foot of water. That's a lot
Mhm.
of water. It could do a lot of damage. It could,
Yep.
I mean, you know, take out basements and, well, look, I don't know. I think flooding in a basement for this is the last thing that anybody's worried about, because the winds, like you said,
And most homes down there don't have a basement, which is good in this
right,
instance, right?
right. Uh-huh. Very good. What's the next map you like?
Let's go right to the right. Flash flooding potential, the one
Sure.
right there. Yeah.
All right.
So as you can see, I mean, the greatest area of concern is certainly right in the middle of the state from Tampa to Orlando.
Mm, look at that.
Yeah. So in fact, if you click off to the right, Friday and into Saturday, that band of, you know, areas of concern or percentages, I should say,
Mhm.
moves off to the east.
Right here.
Hmm. Yep.
Oh,
Oh,
I
oops.
lost it.
Yeah, yeah. There we go. Just stay on this then.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, everything we're going to run the gamut with this storm, flooding, severe and crippling winds. Those winds are still going to be, Cat 4. So yesterday, Milton was a Cat 4 for a while, but still at 150-mile-an-hour winds. And at one point yesterday afternoon, Milton had 155-mile-an-hour winds, still a Category 4, because Category 5 starts at 157.
Mm,
So Milton was a really, really strong Cat 4 for a good chunk of the afternoon before coming back to a 5. So
wow.
when you hear, oh, Milton's going to make landfall as a Category 4, do not let your guard down. And that could still have winds at 150 miles an hour.
Yeah. I mean, it's like just mincing words at that
It's
point. I
just
mean,
semantics
yeah, exactly.
by then.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
150-mile-an-hour wind is, 99.9% still as destructive as 157.
Yeah.
So don't get too hung up on the verbiage of, you
Mhm.
really got to pay attention to the details.
Mhm.
Details matter.
Right. Right. Is there a wind? You want the wind speed?
Sure.
Probably. Okay.
Yeah, look at that. That's crazy.
That is percentages of
I can't even see the top of the key here. I'll go down
okay.
a little bit more if you can.
This here?
There we go. Yeah, the percent 80, 90%
Oh,
probability of
okay.
tropical storm force winds from. So obviously that's going to be
Sure.
90% off the charts but
Yeah.
look at how wide that area is. I mean, you're north of Tampa Bay there, and then
The whole state of Florida is pretty much covered at this point.
you're
The
pushing down past
Panhandle.
Fort Myers in towards Bonita, in towards, getting closer to Naples,
Mhm.
with almost a 90% chance
Mhm.
of, tropical storm force
Right.
winds.
Wow. Let's see. Is there a wind? It's probabilities, but I thought there was a wind speed
So go to the hurricane wind speed probability to the left there.
to the left.
Yeah, you see.
This one? No, that's what we're on
No,
now.
no, down,
Oh, here,
down,
this one. Yeah,
down a
there
little.
we go.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So the area of hurricane force wind probabilities isn't quite as wide because the threshold's higher. So
Mhm.
not everybody's going to meet that.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's still a pretty big band that's going to slap right across I-4 from Tampa to Orlando to Daytona.
Oh, good morning, New Jersey. It's exactly 7 a.m. here in the Great Garden State. You're watching a special edition of Good Morning, New Jersey. We're covering Hurricane Milton. Welcome to the broadcast. We're streaming on YouTube on the Good Morning, New Jersey YouTube channel. Please subscribe to the channel. You're also on the G-Man's Facebook page and my Facebook page as well. Keep putting in the comments. We'll get to those in a few more minutes. We got a few more things here we want to cover with this part of our show with Milton at this point. So where would you like to go next?
I think, let's top left, arrival time of the winds.
Sure.
And, the Hurricane Center does, I have so much respect for them. They consistently just do such an amazing job,
Mhm.
trying to educate, trying to put out all these watches and warnings and just try to, keep everybody safe. So,
Mhm.
and again, they've done a phenomenal job with this storm. So, all right. So there you go. So you start to see the arrival time of the winds. You're going to start to see the winds really pick up this afternoon, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. 8 a.m. this morning, you have that wind vector, that wind field, kind of, well offshore. You don't really start to get into that until 2 o'clock
Mhm.
this afternoon.
Right.
But I think you're going to start to see the weather on the west coast of Florida really deteriorate this afternoon.
Mm. I can't even imagine what that's gonna look like with that wall of water coming up.
Right, right,
Mm.
and especially worse overnight. Like high tide gets the push, the
Sure.
eye is
Yeah.
coming ashore. So in advance of that, you have hours and hours of darkness, sun setting. You know,
Right. And
um,
that's what you said. It's dark out. It's dark, and
mhm,
dare I
you
say, I don't
can't.
want to say disoriented, but it's not,
Right,
obviously not a good time to for any of this to happen, but it's even a worse time. And like you said earlier, the part about it is that the high tide cycle is coming up. Is that correct?
correct. So
Wow.
unfortunately, there will always be those that think they could ride it out. They start
Yeah.
riding it out. Their flood home, I'm sorry, their home floods, and they make a terrible decision at the last minute to try and leave.
Yeah.
Can't do that. I mean, if
Mm,
you're gonna ride it out, you're riding it out. And if you're staying, I mean, it is um, much more, uh, deadlier. Your chances of survival go down if
right.
you try to leave while this thing is happening in the middle of. So it's but the instinct, you have that fight or flight instinct, and you see your home flooding or whatever, and you say, "Oh, I got to get out of here," but you can't. I mean, it's more dangerous to do that in the midst of the storm. So, as I even told my friend this yesterday, I go, if you're going to stay, um, you're staying. You're not leaving during it. If things go
Right.
south in the middle of this, you're
Yeah.
not leaving.
Yeah. It goes. Yeah. I mean, you risk obviously you staying, and
Mhm.
obviously homes and things, all that can be replaced. You can't. And the other factor is that, you know, obviously you want to watch out for you and your loved ones, but it's really first responders and their
Right.
families, everyone else like that, that will do everything they can to help, because that's what they do. But putting them in harm's way just because you decided to stay is
Right.
not a good decision at all.
Exactly.
Don't be
Exactly. So.
selfish and just get the hell out.
Right,
That's
right.
what
Heed
it
the
is.
advice of emergency managers. If you're
Yes.
in an evacuation zone,
Uh-huh.
go. If you're in a
Yeah.
mandatory evacuation zone, go. And even consider that, obviously, if perhaps it's not mandatory, if a zone that you're in,
Right.
you got to know your zone. I know here in Monmouth, Sheriff Golden and the crew and the emergency management crew have done a fantastic job with know your zone.
Mhm. Mhm.
In terms of if you're in a hurricane zone, in a flood prone zone, to get out.
Yes.
When those, hopefully that situation won't happen again, but if it does, everybody's prepared.
Right. And again, I can say the same thing for the emergency management here in Union County as well. They do, an outstanding job. And, I'm on the OEM where I am, and, we go through regular, drills a couple times a year.
Hmm.
We
Yeah.
did a tabletop exercise in the spring, which honestly I'd never been to one before. But if you've ever been to one, it's intense. Like, there's no whatever. This is like no joke. Like, it's really intense, a lot more than what I was thinking. But it was good because it really puts you in that situation in real time when things are unfolding with the scenarios that you're given. So the prep is, it's all about the prep,
Oh
as
yeah. Yeah.
our OEM coordinator, says blue sky days is when you start doing these things. You can't wait till now to have a plan in place. So,
Correct. And that's the other side of this too. I mean, obviously a lot of folks in coastal communities have a plan, as they should.
yeah,
And have made those preps and follow it. Having a plan is great, but if you don't follow it, it's not very useful. So
right.
hopefully they are doing that.
So what you're looking at is the Florida 511, similar to New Jersey. All the states have a 511 that's relegated to, or that's the moniker for traffic and issues there related to the roads. So we're looking at the Tampa area now. It's obviously still dark out. We're just coming up on sunrise here shortly, so sun comes up a little later, because they're further south than us now with the time change. But I mean, as you can see, it's a little bit of light rain at this point,
Mhm.
probably just some sprinkles here on 275, but very little volume at this time of the morning at 7 o'clock. And, this is prime time, I mean, this is downtown Tampa.
Yeah, and
And
the other thing with this, which
yeah,
is problematic too, is I think there are something like 1,300 gas stations in Florida out of gas.
yeah,
So, if you're trying to leave and you don't have gas,
yeah.
this is the last day to really get out. So,
No,
if you,
you go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, if you're in the path of this storm, I highly encourage just to try to get someplace safer, especially if you're along the coast,
Mhm.
especially if you're along the West
Yeah.
Coast.
Now, to all my friends who have electric vehicles, one of the newer pieces of technology. Maybe it's not so much newer, but it is because the first kind of generation of electric EVs where didn't have it, but it's that vehicle to load capability. Some of the Hyundais have it. The Tesla, I think the Cybertruck's got it. The Ford F-150 Lightning, I think the Silverado EV has it, where if you do lose power, you could hook up your home right to the truck and you could power off of that. And I mean, Cybertruck, F-150 Lightning, I mean, these things have massive batteries in them. I mean, running minimal load on them, you're not
Right.
running your air conditioner in a full house. I mean, maybe you can, I don't know, but certainly you'd get a lot less time than what that is. But
Yeah. Look, I wouldn't be running a central air off any
yeah,
generator,
sure, of course,
but
right. But at
I
least
would,
it keeps
power a
your
fridge, anything you
sure,
need to, anything for
just
emergency
essential things.
purposes,
Yeah,
essentials,
exactly.
exactly. But yeah, if you wanted to, you want to power a window
Mhm,
unit or a portable off of your Cybertruck, knock yourself out. On that note, funny, we did the story yesterday, I believe, or the day
mhm.
before. Geico has come out and said we will not insure Cybertrucks.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's
So,
interesting.
yeah.
That one's an interesting one. I wonder what the story is with that.
Yeah, I don't know.
This is a little bit further south of Tampa. Again, you're kind of 0 to arc 30 here at this point. So a little tough to see what's going on, but it looks just a little
Yeah, it
drizzly.
doesn't look
It
yeah,
doesn't
it
look
looks cloudy.
terrible, but obviously this is going to go downhill fairly quickly. And again, this is, look, it's 7:09. So at least the center of Tampa. Now, I've never been to Tampa, so I don't know what the traffic situation is here, but I imagine there will be people heading into downtown Tampa to go to work. I mean, in St. Petersburg, let's be honest. And
Mhm,
there's
mhm.
literally no one, which is a good thing. So let me just see. This is out by the stadium where the Buccaneers play. So, oops, and that's pretty much empty, which is a good
Right,
thing.
and keep in mind the storm is 300 miles offshore.
Correct.
So,
So there
yeah, we
is,
have some front running rains and some showers and stuff like that,
yeah.
but I
I
mean,
mean,
this is,
there's a
every
very
hour that goes by, if it's moving at 14 miles an hour,
mhm,
you know,
right.
5, 6 hours from now, I think you'll see a noticeable difference
Yeah.
with the weather going downhill.
Yeah. I mean, there's still time, but that clock is continually counting down, like in 24, like it's counting down and, you're not going to get that time back. So
Mm-mm.
make that exit as fast as you can. I wouldn't be surprised, once this thing comes through in some areas, later tonight, whatever, they may even shut down everything going into Tampa just so no one gets back in,
Right,
except
right.
for first responders that, you don't have people trying to get back in where they might not be able to get themselves out of a situation.
Yeah,
So,
I don't recall if Florida does it, but there are a lot of states that do what's called contraflow. So
yeah.
they're able to,
Yes.
take major
Mhm.
roadways and just make them in one direction.
Right.
Usually the coastal flood evacuation route away from the water and away from,
Yeah.
harm's way.
I think Florida is one of the states that allows that because I think they've done it along the A1A here coming out of,
Mhm.
and it's not weather related. It's really for when there's back in the day when the space shuttle launched, that kind of stuff.
Right.
There were just so many people, they had to get everybody out. So they just contraflowed everything. So this is closer towards Cape Canaveral, Cocoa Beach. I mean, it's fairly tranquil at this point, but it's going to go. I don't think there's any cameras around Disney, but if there are, you're probably not going to be able to see much. I don't know where Disney is at this point, but um, hey, look, I mean, just because it's Disney doesn't mean it's not susceptible to damage. I hate to say it, and
Mhm.
you got
Yeah,
castle and you got
I
those kind of things. I mean, ugh,
I don't know if Disney has ever been hit by a Category 2 hurricane.
well, that's a good point because it's only been there for what, early 70, 50 years, 50 something years.
And it's Orlando, so
That's Orlando.
it has been pretty unlikely that, a hurricane any landfalling hurricane would sustain Category 2
For that long.
strength
Yeah.
moving into the center of the
Yeah.
state.
So now looking at this map around Orlando, and what just something that just brings up to my eyes is look at all these little like lakes and ponds and stuff. I mean,
Hmm.
are things like this. So this is
Yep.
this going to just like rise? Are you going to see flooding out of all of this as well, possibly?
Yep. So let's put 6, 8 inches of water on top of those,
Wow. Yeah.
and
It's
trust me, there's a fair bit of gators running around there too.
oh yeah, I can imagine they'll probably be in the streets at this point. Wow. It's a bad situation, friends. I mean, that's just there's no way there's only so many ways you can say it. There's only so many ways you can say it. I'm gonna come
Exactly.
off
Yeah,
of
yeah.
that.
And we hope it's just bad. We hope it's just um, we hope it's not horrific or
Right.
apocalyptic.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, I'm hoping for bad, but I'm not going to be surprised if
Right.
we get the latter.
It's 7:13. You're watching Good Morning New Jersey, special edition of Hurricane Milton. We had a nice crowd here. So what I will do is I'm gonna bring it back to us for a moment. I'm gonna bring in a couple of the comments because a couple of our friends here had some questions about
Okay.
what you were talking about. Let's see here now. Well, first Jimmy says good morning from Oak Ridge. Good morning to you, Jim. Let's see. Mary says good morning from Edison. We welcome you.
Yes.
James says buenos dias, and Anna, that's my friend. Alexandra, good morning from East Rutherford. And we just say get well to her. She is recovering here, so a little
Oh,
under the
okay.
weather. Yeah.
Speedy
So
recovery.
yes. So speedy recovery to you. Let's see. Rosemary says good morning from Tom's River. Nice to see you both. This is Barb coming in from Middletown. We've got hello from Millsboro, Delaware. This is
Nice.
Janet.
Hopefully, Janet could watch NBC 10 in
Yeah.
Delaware. Yeah.
So Auntie Anna is down in Monmouth County. It says, what are your thoughts about impact on air travel, other parts of the country, any secondary effects?
Yeah, well, I think, what the system is going to be. So that's the one thing we really didn't talk about too much. I mean, you have two major airports that are shut down or will be shut down, Tampa and Orlando.
That's a good. Okay, you talk about that. I'll find the advisories.
Right, right. So that is going to clog up the system, and all the airlines are going to want to get as many assets and as many planes out of Tampa and Orlando as they can, perhaps.
Mhm.
So you're talking about a big mess that is going to have further reaching implications than just Florida in terms of air travel.
Right.
So
I mean,
I think that's what they mean by that's what
yes,
I think that's what Anna means by any
I think so.
secondary effects. You
Yeah.
know.
Just trying to remember what the code is for Orlando is MCO, but
Right.
I
Tampa's TPA.
TPA. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
it's closed. Yeah,
Yeah, Tampa's
that's
closed. I don't think Orlando's
I don't
closed
think
yet.
Orlando's closed. I think that's going to shut down later today. I think, like you
Mm,
said, they're trying to get as many assets out of the way at this point.
right.
Um, as long as they can, because obviously they may have a few hours swath of about 5-6 hours longer than maybe what Tampa does to just get stuff out.
Right, right. So I think the focus is obviously moving that, and then you also have additional traffic, maybe air traffic at Medill in Tampa.
Could
The
be,
big military
sure.
base.
Mhm.
So they're going to try and I would think get some of their stuff to safe harbor, if you will.
And that, what we're talking about delays and closures of the airports. I mean, that's now when nothing is hit yet.
Right,
We don't
right,
know.
right.
God forbid there's damage to the airport. I mean, there could be problems at the control tower. There could be
Yeah.
problems in the runway. Just the airport itself, if it receives damage, could be closed for indefinitely until further notice, kind of a thing.
I think I would be surprised if Tampa wasn't shut down for at least a few days. I would
Yeah.
be surprised if they were able to rebound
Right.
quicker than that.
I have another weather-related question for you from me, but let
Yeah.
me go through a few of these because I'm going to put up the map because I want to correlate something and bring it back home to us here. So Jenny says, good morning from Bridgewater. Sally's coming in from Garrett Mountain. Good morning to you. Brian, our good friend here out in Chester. Good morning to you, my friend. Let's see here. Karen says, good morning from South Plainfield. We've got Lauren in Aberdeen. And Lori is asking, so with the rain, that's 13 inches of water by Tampa? Is that right?
Yeah, I think she wrote 13 feet there, but yeah, it's 13 inches.
Sorry, yeah, I didn't see that.
It's so So the rain is 6 inches to a foot of rain, but that's also 10 to 15 feet of storm surge heading towards Tampa as well. So there's a lot of water that Tampa is going to have to deal with. So yeah, so I'm not, the way she wrote it, it says 13 feet of water by Tampa. Yes, in surge, but also another perhaps foot of rain as well. Hopefully that answered the question.
Yes, I didn't see my side. It looked like it was two little dashes there.
Yep.
Let's see here. We've got good morning from Barnegat. There's Donna. Let's see here. Lois says good morning, and good morning from Ogdensburg, New Jersey, up in Sussex County. Beautiful Sussex County. Ogdensburg is a beautiful little town.
Yeah.
Maria, good morning to you. We've got Lois coming in from East Brunswick. Also want to say good morning to somebody I met in Cranford the other day. She's from South Plainfield. She was at the Track 5 coffee shop. I don't know if she's watching us. I told her to subscribe. I didn't get her name, unfortunately, but big fan of both of ours.
Oh, nice.
At the old place. So it was a nice conversation with her for a few minutes, which was great. Let's see. Sherry coming in from Point Pleasant. A little cool this morning. We're going to get to our forecast in a minute. Yeah. So let's see. My friend Eugene. Hi, O'Don. Yeah. And happy anniversary to you. Him and his wife. What is it? 13 years. Reason why I know that too is because I'm friends with Eugene too. I got the save your date magnet still on my refrigerator for the last 13 years. So I just had to look yesterday on October 9th. There we go. Diane says, good morning. James Gregorio from New Providence, New Jersey.
Good morning, Diane.
Yes, Northern Union County.
Yes,
Chris says,
land.
That's it. Yeah. Good morning, guys. Missing you too. Now I'm going to click on the next one. And I think this is somebody we both know. I think it's one and the same.
Oh, God.
Dewey. 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 Is that the Dewey from Pete's Barbershop?
Yeah, that might be.
I think it is.
Yeah. I think so.
To type in if that is the Dewey.
That is, I think might be the Dewey.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Chris says, good morning.
So we should just expand that for a second. Dizzle and I, for the most part, are just regular guys. So I would go to Pete's to get my haircut for a million years while at the old place, be able to jump over there on a break or after work or whatever.
Sure.
And Tony would trim us up, and it's good stuff. So we did that for many, many years. And I think, do you have a picture up there still? Do you have a picture up there?
I think so.
Yeah. Me, you, and Rox.
Rox, yeah.
Even though Rox obviously never got her haircut there.
Correct,
but,
but
those guys are fans, right?
Fan of the Rox. Is everyone's fan of the Rox.
Right. So if you go in there, you see our pictures up there as well.
Oh, it'll be great to get Roxanne on this little shindig we got
going.
Wow. Let's see here. Chris says from Cedar Grove. We say good morning from Edison here. That's Billy. And Lynn coming in from good morning from Clifton, Passaic County. Very nice. Okay, so I'm going to spin it back to the maps for a second. Okay. Because this was just me being the whatever, just looking out into the future with this Tidbits is just an amazing site. I hate to say it gets addictive. Like you just start looking through this stuff and on basic, basic radar and whatnot and so forth. So the other day I was looking our area, it was somewhere around the 18th or 19th. There was a system that was like in the 960s sitting like about 200 miles off Atlantic City, which I was like, whoa, where did that
you'd have to go out, let's say, what's today, the 8th? Today's the 8th,
yeah, so this is
I'm sorry, the 9th. Today's
right, the 9th. So this is the 14th, which is what, Monday? This is getting through Tuesday, the 15th. Again, we're in Florida, but this is where I saw it kind of start to brew. 17 right there. That's the 18th at 2 a.m.
So just a word of caution with the long range guidance. Sometimes the GFS could be in what we call fantasy land, and that's the GFS model here. So anything, 200 hours out, 250 hours out, 300 hours out, it's our job as professional meteorologists to sort of temper, that, longer range look and not be like, oh my goodness, look what's going to happen, 2 weeks from now, because a lot changes in 2 weeks.
Sure.
So, but it's good to, put it on our radar per se, and,
Hmm.
and keep an eye on it and see, much like with Sandy, the Euro a week out, had this monster storm backing in towards the coast of New Jersey 10 days
Hmm.
out. And we were
Hmm.
like, oh, that'll never happen. It's never happened. And day
Right.
9, day 8, same thing, day 7. And then finally
Mhm.
we're like, it's happening.
Yeah.
The guidance has been unbelievable, latched on, locked in, and not deviating.
Wow. Wow.
And unfortunately it happened.
Right.
Unprecedented
Right.
to
So
see it
now
back
you
in like
bring.
that.
So let's talk about that first, since you brought it up. Hang on a second. So most people who are here to this area for any length of time or whatever remember Sandy. Can
Mhm.
you correlate what we went through with Sandy and potentially what they're going to go through with this storm in Florida, as far as just from the weather aspect of it, as far as the size of the storm, the winds, the storm surge and whatnot? Are we talking something complete apples and oranges, or something closer towards a hybrid of an apple kind of a thing, or what?
Yeah, but keep in mind, Sandy was a minimal Category 1 hurricane.
Yeah. So that's what
So
that's what
right,
I'm
it
looking
just
at.
in terms of the surge, though, it was
Mhm.
almost a perfect setup from where Sandy made landfall,
Mhm.
with the tide, with the surge, with everything else that really exacerbated. And again, Sandy, 100% all about the water. It wasn't
Right.
the wind, it was the water. Yes,
Mhm.
the wind did damage. I'm not going to downplay that, but it really was about the water with Sandy. So,
Mhm.
down in Florida on the West Coast here, you not only have the water issues, which are going to be insurmountable, but you also have the wind. So you now have a Category 4, a strong 4 perhaps at landfall. So you have the added damage, destruction from that as
Mhm.
well. So it's funny. My wife
Yeah.
asked me the same question. She was like, well, is it going to be worse than what we had with Sandy? And I think there's going to be greater, bigger, farther reaching impacts than Sandy.
Mhm. Mhm. At the height of Sandy, as far as the storm surge and the flooding, what do you remember what about that was? I mean, were we looking at storm
In
surge of 3, 6 feet, or was it higher? Or I
It
can't
was higher
remember.
than 6 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was higher
Yeah.
than 6 feet, but it wasn't 15, and it certainly wasn't 20.
Right. Right. And
So
that's
right.
a lot of what took out, like, Mataloking
Mhm,
Bridge
mhm.
and all
The
that.
breaches,
I mean, I
yep.
remember you and Kurto doing the coverage, like, nonstop, like, literally live for, like, 15 hours or whatever it was. They had the chopper up and everything else. You guys were just talking over just what you
That wa
saw.
that was I will never ever
Unreal.
forget that day, the next day, when
Yeah.
the chopper footage came
Yeah.
in and you just saw the level of
Destruction.
destruction,
Yeah.
and he and I are just sitting on the set, just, in between. I
Yeah.
don't even know if I mean, just narrating. That's all we were doing. We were
Mhm.
narrating the coverage as
Right.
it came in. We had not seen it before. We saw it live as everyone else did,
Right.
and in between, trying to get words out, we're just
Yeah.
looking at each other, just like slack jawed in amazement at the level
Man.
of
Man.
destruction.
It was amazing coverage, absolutely amazing, and maybe there's some vestiges of that on YouTube. I don't know. I never really looked, but if there is, go back and watch that. I mean, that was incredible stuff. For a horrible situation,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah.
But let's lighten it up just a little bit here, because they're coming up on almost 7:30 now. Let's talk about our weather. I mean, our weather the last couple, like this weekend, like Sunday was, I don't know whether that could have been the most perfect day of the year. Like, it was just, there was no humidity. It was like 70. There was just golden
It's fantastic.
sunshine. It was unreal. We were at the car show in Union in Union County. There's another Union out in Hunter County, but place was packed. I mean, there were thousands of people. It was just a craziness, but it was great. And we've got pretty, like yesterday was nice. The morning was a little, I mean, Monday morning was a little, as you call it, morning sickness kind of a deal. But then, yeah, kind of
Yeah, yeah.
brightened up, really got nice Monday afternoon.
It
So
did,
what,
it did,
so what are we
I was
looking at?
driving,
Let's say,
to work
yeah,
in Philly, on Monday, and you could see it. And Monday we were supposed to get some rain.
Mhm.
Overnight into Monday,
Uh-huh.
we really never materialized a whole lot, at least for Central and South Jersey and the Delaware Valley.
Mhm.
There was some rain and there were some storms on Monday over Long Island, but that kind of zip. So yeah, to your point, it definitely got nicer, and by the time I was in the office, it was real nice.
Great. All right. So what are we expecting, for today and the rest of the week into the weekend? I mean, this is the today at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, it's fantastic. We had a really easy go. It got chilly last night, so I'm still sitting in the upper 40s this morning. So the temperatures
Really?
are,
Wow.
yep, I'm at 49 right now.
Oof, ah,
So yeah,
oof,
so
ah.
that's why I've got my little hoodie on here
Oh, there you go.
because it's like I think it's like 67 in my house right now, which is
Oh
super
boy.
comfortable, but
Yeah.
a little cooler than it usually is. So
Yeah.
anyway, I digress.
That's it.
Uh, so yeah, we've got gorgeous weather for the next several days. Tons of
This
sunshine.
this is
Um,
this is straight through. I mean, there is absolutely nothing. What was it? What did Angle say? God, this guy was somebody like one-liners. He was like, Henny Youngman. It was like Shecky Green of weather.
Henny Youngman.
It really was. He was like, oh, well, I remember. It was the big blue H puts a smile on her face. That was J Angle from the Southwestern Blowtorch.
Oh, exactly,
Oh, good
exactly.
lord.
So I correct myself. I've
Yeah.
lost a degree. I'm sitting at
Oh,
48 right now.
really? Oh,
Yeah,
wow. There we
yeah.
go. I'm sure that weather station, if I remember, what was it in? Was it Tom's River or
Mhm.
somewhere there? It always seemed like it was like 10 degrees colder than anywhere else in the state. I
Yeah,
guess that's
well,
where the
'cause also on
location
the edge
was.
of the Pine Barrens,
Yeah.
they
Um,
really radiate. So, yeah, so the theme really for the next with clear skies all day and tons of sunshine, which is great, we have no cloudiness to keep the heat into the day. So these temperatures overnight are gonna dip down into the 40s and
mhm.
lower 50s.
Right. Now this is going out through Monday, and we still
There's that system on Monday. I wrestled with that yesterday for the Delaware Valley for the Metro Philly
uh-huh.
area. Lehigh Valley, maybe North Jersey gets a little bit of that rain,
Mhm.
but I'm not so sure it makes it into the European model is a little more bullish and trying
Yeah.
to drive that rain into the lower Susquehanna Valley, Delaware
Mhm.
Valley, Metro Philly, Montgomery, Berks, Delco, into South Jersey, perhaps into Camden and, Burlington County, perhaps Gloucester
Sure.
County. But
Sure.
I think this is probably more accurate on the GFS where that upper low stays further to the north.
Mhm.
What you also start to see embedded in this is some blue. So that is the season's perhaps first light snow shower activity up
Mhm.
in the Adirondacks, up in southern Canada, So yeah,
Mhm. So this is
that's
Tuesday, there's
right, Monday night.
Wednesday, and just going by what you know the naked eye sees as far as there's lots of very little green on this map, and I have a feeling we were going to get into maybe a little, I don't want to say the word drought, but it's awfully dry out here.
It is, and
you know
there, not so much for Jersey, but more so for Eastern PA, the drought monitor. We're in moderate drought, Eastern
yeah,
PA
yeah.
into New Jersey, into Ocean County. I shouldn't say
Mhm.
not so much, but there are portions of New Jersey that have been dealing with moderate drought as well.
Sure. And what gets me concerned as well too is that with all the leaves now falling, I mean, like you're just crunching leaves all over the place, that if somebody throws a cigarette or whatever, you could have
Right,
a
a greater
big
wild,
bonfire real quick.
right?
Here's some of the conditions down in Berlin. This was as of, well, they say six, but I guess it hasn't updated yet, so it's about a half hour ago.
Yeah, so Doylestown, as you head up towards
Ooh,
Montgomery County, PA, we've got
44.
temperatures. Yeah,
Hello.
chilly, 41 in Doylestown. Mount Holly, I'm sorry, Doylestown 46. I was looking at the dew point.
Yeah.
Mount Holly at 45. At the airport, in Philly, 52, one of the warmer spots, but we're at
Yeah.
44 in Pottstown.
Oof. Oof.
Oof.
Let's see what Cape May is. Yeah, let's see what Cape May is here. Sometimes it's a little warmer down towards the shore at these times, right? Sometimes, I don't know.
Yeah, again, when the
Here
ocean is
it's
still pretty
59.
warm. Yeah,
Wildwood is at
59 in
59.
Wildwood, but 50 at Dover,
Mhm.
41 in Millville, Georgetown, Delaware, 44, 41 at Salisbury.
Ooh, that's a stiff shot.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hello.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, really. What was the other one? Atlantic City? Yeah, let's see
Sure.
what we're doing there, because that brings a little into Monmouth County or Mercer
Exactly.
County.
Yeah, Belmar's at 47. So,
Yep.
but look at that. Lakehurst at 41.
Oof.
Millville at 41.
Oof, that's crisp, man.
That is
Starting
definitely
a little
crisp.
little fall. You
Little
know,
fall.
I was just saying the other day that when we got like into like the second week of October, like I'm when we were kids and stuff like that, it always felt like it was like in the 40s and we were in a coat, and granted we were like 8 or something
Right,
like that,
right.
but still, it's extended summer, not really summer, but really almost like spring-like weather. It's beautiful. Let's be honest. I mean,
Yeah, but let's
great.
be honest, I think our parents probably overdressed us too. You're
Well,
like,
that's
"Oh,
true
it's,"
too. You're out
"Here,
there
you
like
need a turtleneck, you need this." Da, da, da.
you're out there like the kid from what is it, Christmas Story? With the, I can't move my arms. With the jacket. Oh my
We got
gosh.
some red on the screen. All right, so if you're
Yeah.
gonna run through this real quick, I'm gonna unplug for a second,
Yep.
charge
You
up a
got
little
it.
more coffee as we've
You got it. I will do this and take a little break. Yep. Been going for about the last hour, so I'll take it from here and come back
all
in a
right.
couple minutes. All right.
All right, cool.
All right. So the G-Man is out here for a couple minutes taking a break. Let's run down the traffic here at 7:33. We've got a downpour on 94, Mount Pleasant Road, Blairstown. Everything is shut there. It's probably just a local detour. Broken down tractor trailer, Eastern Spur North 15E. Got a center lane out there. Let's go to the maps here this morning. Kind of typical stuff here along 208, getting south out of Wyckoff into Glen Rock and Fair Lawn. Same thing on 17, getting out towards the Garden State Parkway. And then 17 both ways here as we come up towards the Garden State Plaza Mall, a little bit busy. Again, just normal stuff along Route 3, congested going up and down the hills here at Passaic Avenue, Main Avenue. Parkway, busy as expected. From 147 down to 145, same thing on the push down the hill out of West Orange into East Orange on 280. Fairly busy here this morning. So yeah, there's a lot going on here. Turnpike from 13A up to 14 on into, just underneath the Skyway. Let's continue out. Let me widen this map. Let me see, where am I at with the zoom level? Let me bring it out one more level. We'll go this way. So, I mean, Western Jersey is good and 78. That's fine. But long swath of delays here on 80 from about exit 30, Howard Boulevard, maybe closer to 28, all the way out through 42, 15, a little heavy here in the Jefferson area. But again, 100 in Warren counties, typical normal stuff here, kind of quiet, I should say. 287 north out of Piscataway up into Bound Brook is busy. Same thing on Route 1. But Turnpike is holding up nicely. Parkway, everything along Monmouth County, Tinton Falls, Red Bank, Little Silver, Seabright, everything is good. Route 9, 33. Central part of the state, we're fine. Turnpike is good. So is 295 until you get out towards, obviously, the Philly suburbs here, Deptford, Haddonfield, Gloucester, Deptford, 55, 295. Then on over towards Atlantic City. A little busy here on 40 through Mays Landing. Nothing to report as far as any issues. In Cape May, we are looking good. Let me bring up very quickly the George Washington Bridge. Take a look at our Hudson River crossings. And we got, let's see, about 40, on average, about 35 to 40 at the George, 40 at the Lincoln, and about 20 at the Holland. So kind of par for the course here this morning. I'm going to bring in a couple more comments and then, just let me know when you want to come back in. We've got Lori saying, I think I said from Wayne, good morning to you. Pat says, good morning, guys. And Ronnie says, good morning from Elizabeth. So good morning to you. We're going to bring the G-Man back into the mix. There you go. You're unmuted. We'll bring this back up.
So I didn't even realize I've been so tired and I had my overhead lights on in terms of my sort of little
that's fine.
Studio lights.
Oh, look good.
Okay.
All right. So it's 7:36. So let's kind of wrap it up real quick. Let me see if I can bring in the I don't know if I can
band.
Band. Yeah.
The house band.
The house band. This guy needs house band. Let me just bring this in really quick. I gotta find it. Southeastern US. As far as what we're dealing with Milton, real quick, we can run it down in just a kind of weather and a one here for this folks here. We'll bring this back up. There we go. Let me get rid of the banner. So go ahead. And so now this is 8 o'clock this morning. This is where we're at for now.
So just to run through some stats, Category 5 still top winds of about 160 miles an hour on Milton. Forward speed of moving to the, I believe it was the east-northeast at 14 miles an hour. So that would put landfall. Milton's 300 miles off the coast of Tampa. So Milton will likely make landfall very late tonight, if not early tomorrow morning, let's say in that 2 a.m. time frame. You do the math, Milton's moving at 14 miles per hour, and we're now after 7:30, so 10 hours from, or 12 hours from now would be 7:30 p.m. And we're still obviously not, not ashore. There we go.
This is getting into the overnight about 2 a.m. or so.
And the eye wall's already ashore. So certainly the eastern eye wall's already ashore. So yeah, it could be somewhere between that midnight and 2 a.m. time frame, more than likely.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so just pray for Florida. If you've got friends and families down there, reach out, make sure they're in contact, make sure you know where they are, make sure they have a plan. And Florida's going to need a lot of help.
That they are. Yeah. So our thoughts and prayers, as they say, are for everybody in Florida. Our weather here, not really much to talk about, right? Other than it being in the 40s, down in Monmouth County and other parts of the state. Yeah. So pretty good looking day on tap. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, sir. It is gorgeous, radiational cooling.
Yep.
Gorgeous days with lots of sunshine, but clear skies and light winds at night. We give back a lot of the heat of the day, or whatever heat of and we're going to have 60s and for high temperatures coming up here next couple of days. So
put this up over us. So you read that, I'll read mine, and then
so sweater weather is here, and maybe you need that outdoor fireplace or a nice pergola to go with it. So check out Eastern Architectural Millwork, the exterior division, adding all those nice little extra features to your home to make it a home of distinction. Eastern Architectural Millwork, the exterior division.
And our good friend Darley Newman travels at darley-newman.com. You can find her on PBS Create, Amazon Prime, as well as New Jersey PBS. Wonderful travel program. Please check her out and head to her website, and also follow her on Instagram at Darley Newman. All right, G. So let's do this here. I think we're going to wrap it up. Let me get the band and the music here. We'll just fire off here this morning. There we go. So, man, like and subscribe to Good Morning Sports, and again, we will see you hopefully next week. All right. Bye.